My friends, come with me as I'm going to show you something cool today. Well, many things in fact, but check this out. In Pilotwings 64 on Everfrost Island, at the far end of this cave system, which we have to fly into through this wonderful waterfall, if we keep going and going down this cave system, we will find a very interesting rock. And I'll tell you why the rock is so interesting in a moment when we get there, but it's very rare and only appears in one version of the game, the official Japanese N64 version, which was released as a launch title in June 1996, alongside Super Mario 64 and this one other game. Okay, so let's look at this rock. Does it look like anything or anyone in particular? Indeed, this is none other than the infamous Jesus rock, the Jesus texture. Many apparently saw the face of Jesus Christ in this rock. And so Nintendo has these quite strict regulations against religious representations in games. And so when people noticed this, the rock was removed from further releases of Pilotwings 64, including the North American release just a few months later in September 1996. You can take a look at the differences between the two textures here. So today I wanted to pick up the controller and show you some other cool stuff on the N64, as if you and I were hanging out after school. So come on in, hang up your jacket, grab a drink and some snacks, and let's go.
Here we go!
So here's an interesting thing I've come across in my travels around the internet. It's a YouTube video called GameShark Glitch on GoldenEye for N64 from 19 years ago from a channel N64 is Cool 915, in which we see this. The gamer scrolls around on a GameShark menu, activating a code called Haunted Facility. Now, this is not scary or unsettling if you're just listening, so don't worry there. It's just the name of the GameShark code, as named from probably some random kid hacker from nearly 30 years ago. In the video, we then see some weird coloration of the intro menu screens, although this Nintendo coloration is quite pretty if I do say so, and he clicks through and lets the intro cutscenes play out. Then he selects Bunker 1 and plays a slightly unusual looking version of the stage, where notably some of the textures are just a little weird. The description of the video reads, "LOL, this is me doing a GameShark glitch that makes the entire game of GoldenEye haunted." Well, I was able to find the code and try it myself, and these are some ancient codes which were pretty hard to find, but I did find it and I played around myself. I was able to play and complete Dam, Facility, and Runway, and boy, does it make the game look indeed very, very strange, especially on those stages. It was actually a little bit hard to beat Facility Double Agent with this on, just because it's much more difficult to see where all the corners are to seek cover from guards and whatnot. Anyhow, once I got to Surface 1, the game just kept crashing without letting me complete the stage, and it did the same on Bunker 1. So it's hard to say exactly which levels are or aren't completable with this on. Maybe I'll try it on a stream sometime and see, are any other levels beatable with the Haunted Facility code on, or is it only the first 3? And yeah, you just really wonder exactly what all these codes point to, how they're messing up the textures this way, and especially the sort of red border on some of the levels on the level select stage is very unusual. Certainly, this old video gives some remarkable insight into playing around with GoldenEye with a GameShark back in the 2000s. And believe it or not, this channel, N64 is Cool 915, is that of a gamer who would later be known as Big Tommy Man, GoldenEye and Twine speedrunner, and underground rapper based out of Virginia. So the next thing I want to show you all takes place on the one and only Toad's Turnpike course in Mario Kart 64, and it has to do with some of the details on one of the vehicles in particular. So let's start up the course, and I'm actually going to expend my mushrooms here to get them out of the way visually. There's not a lot of room on the Mario Kart sort of HUD, really. It's kind of crazy. And if you'll notice, no vehicles come behind you if you just turn around to start. I didn't notice this for a very, very long time. all the vehicles are on a kind of a cycle to, you know, come along when you are supposedly going to be driving through the course. And so at the start, there's a bit of a gap. But this bus is indeed the vehicle that I want to show you all. Let's spin around quickly here and watch the bus as it comes into frame. Well, what's this reflection on the front of the bus? And this is on some other vehicles as well. But this is indeed a reflection that the texture match has been found. And we can see in this tweet from Render96VGTP that the render of this reflection, and we can see it again coming in this truck, is a small bit of sunset image found in Visual Disc Mountains N3 CD, released in 1994 in Japan. Now that, my friends, is truly and utterly remarkable. You know, what a beautiful image. And, you know, when you see the credits of Mario Kart 64 and see Toad's Turnpike, it's really a truly beautiful course. The skybox is amazing, and we can see a bit of it here. And as the bus goes by, we can see that image again, and it's just really quite a fine detail that gets put in there. Now, another interesting thing with the bus, and this is sort of, you know, one of these secret theories, is that apparently many say Diddy Kong is driving the bus. Now, I'm going to watch this bus go by here, and as we can see, the driver's not on this side of the bus. You know, are these British or Japanese buses driving on the other side of the road? So I have to go over here. And when I first heard this theory, I was not convinced one bit. I really did not see Diddy Kong driving the bus. But once we had another bus come by, we're going to have a look here. Alright, we have a bus approaching, and let's take a look. I'll even freeze frame and zoom in if I can, but let's try to get a closer look on this one. Freeze frame and zoom in. I mean, I don't know. What do you see, my friends? Is that Diddy Kong racing the bus? Is that a really fine detail? I'd be kind of surprised because, you know, Diddy Kong was very much a rare character in creation, and certainly Nintendo had the rights to it at the time of Mario Kart 64. But, you know, would they have added in the shadow of his character? It's not really definitive for me. Let's see, if we pace the bus, you actually get a better look, and oh my goodness, that is actually not a bad look. Could that possibly be Diddy Kong driving the bus? I mean, I was kind of a skeptic at first, but that really does look similar. A bit of a hat, a bit of a tail. My friends, could Diddy Kong be the driver of the bus in Toad's Turnpike? Now that is truly remarkable. Alright, let's go back to Pilotwings for a second and look at this wonderful comment I recently received on another video, in which a viewer writes, "I still have this memory of a kid of trying to fly across the ocean with the jetpack from the US map, managing to do it, and ending up in what I assume was the United Kingdom, because I distinctly recall finding the Loch Ness monster." Now, this is honestly hilarious, adorable. It's such a great little childhood memory of something that, you know, very obviously never happened. But I'm going to show you why this is something that could have been mixed up from any young gamer. So let's start out on this Little States stage, which I love to explore and have explored a number of times. And so we're flying, you know, west away from the United States of America. In this case, that's Los Angeles we're flying away from. And that's all cool and dandy. And, you know, I've done this before. We see kind of how the game renders flying out into the ocean. I'm now kind of flying, you know, southeast into, you know, the Gulf, the legendary Gulf, towards Central America. And it lets you fly very, very far. But there's no, you know, there's certainly no Europe that you can reach on this map. But there is something that this viewer could have messed up and thought was the Loch Ness monster. And we are going to find exactly this in only a few moments. So let's fly around and we'll speed up the footage here, and we will indeed get to exactly what I need to show you all. Alright, so here we are out approaching the Mississippi Delta. We have some cruise ships, possibly, you know, Carnival Cruise Line, sailing out of Mobile, Alabama, if that is where they sail out of. And we're going to travel up north along the Mississippi River here for a few moments. We can see the St. Louis Arch up ahead, the gateway to the west, and there's even the Sears Tower to all our Chicagoites. Now over here, the Mississippi River splits off on this map, and we have this dam, and what do we have here? But it is some sort of Loch Ness monster, some sort of cryptozoological monster. And in-game, this creature is actually called Missy the Monster. There's actually a mission in this stage where you have to take a picture of Missy the Monster. And the hang glider is the vehicle that you use when the mission is to take pictures of certain, objects and so on. And so it's very easy to see how certainly a young kid could have been playing this game, flew out to sea, went a very long time, probably got turned around once they were way out there, came back, may have entered through a location where they didn't realize that they were back on the land of the North American landmass, and came right up here and was like, oh my goodness, it's the Loch Ness Monster. I must be in Scotland. I must be in Europe, the United Kingdom. And it's just such a hilarious little childhood memory to have. You can't really land on Missy the Monster's head, unfortunately. I've tried. You kind of bounce right off, which is really kind of funny. And yeah, just bouncing right off. And there it is. It doesn't hurt you in any way. You just bounce off. There's Missy the Monster, clearly an homage to the Loch Ness Monster. I certainly love it for that. And it's a cool little creature. It just floats around here. It's part of one objective on one mission. And just a very, very neat little decoration to adding kind of the lore and wonder of this amazing game and stage. Alright, so here's one of my favorite spots, some truly amazing ambiance that I just want to share with anyone. In Indiana Jones and the Infernal Machine, two of the earlier stages are the Tian Shan River, which leads towards the Shambala Sanctuary. Now these stages feel Odyssean in nature, especially if you don't know what you're getting into going into the game. The game is almost this blend of this sort of Zelda-ish action-adventure game, along with a third-person shooter, and on the Tian Shan River, you have to take this very puncture-prone raft down this frozen river and collect a number of candles and set it up on some kind of altar in order to get the gods of the winds to allow you to cross a bridge into the sanctuary. Anyone who's played this level knows how frustrating it is, especially for the first time when you don't really know exactly what you're doing or how to control the raft and just getting used to it all, and you don't know to collect as many raft repair kits as you can. It's just a crazy, crazy mission. And when I recently replayed this game, I got to this point towards the end of the stage with just this absolutely magnificent ambiance, and I just wanted to share it with you all. The wind howling, the wolves howling, and sort of this nice reprieve after a long and arduous journey reflects kind of how I think many of us felt when playing these games and reaching a point that you finally feel that immense sense of satisfaction and completion after beating a very difficult level. And the Tian Shan River is certainly one of these very difficult levels of any game on the Nintendo 64. Well, that's going to do it again, my friends. A huge thanks for hanging out with me and checking out this cool stuff that I always find in these N64 games. Let me know if you knew of any or much of it, and let me know what you'd like to see me cover next in a future video. But thanks again to the channel members and the Patreon supporters for all of your support of my work here. Stay true, my wonderful friends, and I will see you in the next stream or video.